Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yes. All right.
All
We're
right.
giving this a try. Let's see what
Okay.
happens. All right. This should be pretty fast. But Daniel, hey, thank you so much for taking the time. Really excited to talk to you today.
Absolutely.
Cool. Let's just start off with at the very beginning. Like, who are you? What are you building? Kind of give us the background.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm the one of the co-founders and CTO here at Zingage. And so what we're building here is AI for home care. And so, high level, this is, the industry where, you have a grandparent, a parent, and they want to age in their own home as opposed to going to the hospital. This is one of the kind of essential service that's going to need to enable that. And so with about 80 million seniors above the age of 65 end of this decade, it's probably going to be one of the most important industries. It's one of the fastest growing job categories out there. But today, the best way I can describe this industry is that imagine the taxi industry prior to, Uber kind of inventing ride sharing as a category. People are still using, notepads, Excel sheets, and so you can imagine running Uber based off that. But that's today what our customer and what our grandparents are unfortunately using. So that's kind of what we're here to solve using AI agents.
I've heard the Uber for X pitch many times. I have never heard Uber for home care, senior care before. This is the first.
Yeah.
What's the background? How'd you guys come up with the idea?
Well, so prior to building this company, I used to work at Ramp. My co-founder, he was a second kind of founder where he was building kind of this property marketplace um, for uh, for contractors and property managers. And so both he and I had a really strong affinity towards building something for the frontline workforce. When we kind of left both these companies, we were like, well, the white collar workforce is pretty damn swollen with like dev tools, faster email clients. So you really don't need another SaaS. And so we were very just dedicated in terms of like, looking into the front line. So we spent about a year exploring in South Park Commons, going through a lot of different industries like restaurants, hospitality, and, really kind of home care kind of drew us to it in the end where, his grandmother was a career nurse at Jamaica Hospital, worked there for almost 20 years and saw all kinds of challenge when it comes to the admin side of home care. And for my grandfather, our family went through 6 months of kind of just navigating care for him and just realized, holy shit, it's a very broken industry. 10% across the board, caregivers just cancel their shift. And you're talking about, seniors who are sometimes just completely alone, right? Like you have a kid who's working in another city, and these people are just kind of getting ghosted on, canceled, and all kinds of billing issues. Just last month, actually, one of our earliest customers, they just acquired a home care agency. In 2 weeks, they got invested by the FBI. Nothing
What?
crazy going on, but it's
Wait,
frankly
what?
just like, 2 years of paperwork that like those guys just completely missed out and forgot to submit. And so the FBI came knocking and it's
Wait,
like,
why?
what kind of
Oh,
operations you're running
because
there?
because of paperwork?
Because of paperwork. That's exactly right.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Wait, so Daniel, did you leave Ramp looking for an idea? You just like knew you wanted to be a founder?
Yeah, 100%. I always knew I wanted to start a company. So, and that's actually one of the reasons why I decided to join Ramp. I think, very early on, I joined when they were just under 100 employees. They were really indexing on these kind of founder type employees. So when I kind of looked at like the folks who joined around my time, there's this kind of like good Ramp mafia going on. I think all of them have like either started their own companies or went on to join another like, really, really early stage company.
So you were one of the first 100 employees at Ramp. It was a rocket ship. You were like, oh, this thing is going to be the next $100 billion company. I'm going to quit and
Yeah.
go eat glass and scrape by as a startup founder myself.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Beautiful. All right, so take me back to the early days. You had this idea. How'd you find your first customers? What'd you build first? Like, what were the first steps? What'd you do?
Well, it's kind of this winding journey where, when we first started kind of exploring this industry, we were kind of a nobody. And so early on, like we do a lot of scrappy stuff. My co-founder, one of our favorite things is that like we go down to like Sheepside Bay, Brooklyn, we bring like boxes of donuts. So we kind of rented my co-founder girlfriend's car and just like bought like a whole trunk full of like 20 boxes of donuts,
You would
brought
just
the
show up
receptionist.
with donuts.
Yeah, we just show
Oh,
up and
wow.
we got I don't know, I mean we got like 50%, on the spot demo rate. So it's like one of the best ROI investment. But early on we do
I
these
would
like
let you
very
give me a
hands-off
demo for
things.
donuts. That's a good trade.
Yeah, seriously, right? It's like they feel bad, so they have to like kind of take the call. And so we did that. Launched our first product, which is kind of this co-pilot for like kind of employee engagement management. Really learned the ins and out, and that product helped us grow from zero to 400 plus home care agencies across the country. We're partnered with the largest electronic medical record, and really the inflection point came this year where we're like, wow, like a year ago we thought a lot of the kind of end-to-end automation, like Devon's the role, isn't possible. We revisited that this year, and holy shit, like voice AI has just gone so good. We're like, we're able to now throw full AI onto a phone call, and sometimes like we get calls from a patient saying, "Holy shit, it's the best phone call I ever taken. You guys are so patient." they end up sharing with us like their entire life story, and we're like, wow, this is like just truly, truly wonderful. And so, this year, like, we're launched what we call the operator product, which is this kind of end-to-end agent that triages like everything in the back office, starting with scheduling, starting with like patient escalations.
Oh wow! So you started as Uber for senior care, and now you're like Headspace for senior care.
Well, so our goal is always kind of automate the back office. But at first, we thought like the best way is to like just build another SaaS solution, another dashboard. We very quickly realized that like people in healthcare, they really don't need another dashboard. They really just want to kind of get shit done and like not having to look in the dashboard. They want to actually spend a lot more time with patients. And so that kind of spurred the idea of like this new product, which is basically just an AI employee in the back office.
Got it. That makes sense. So it sounds like you've been preparing for your founder journey for years now. Even choosing Ramp as one of the first jobs you had. I'm curious, now that you are a founder and the company is growing, like what have been the biggest surprises? What have been the biggest challenges?
Yeah. I think probably like the biggest thing for us has always been, how do we build, just a phenomenal team, right? I think one of the things we always kind of one of the things that we always try to kind of educate people here is like kind of really zooming out from like a larger vision, right? Like when you're a talented engineer in New York City and Silicon Valley, you have so many options. It's like, what makes Engage unique? And so for us, like we really put a lot of thought in terms of like reframing this like, look, you're not here to just build, an AI slot machine. You're not here to just build another Copilot tool. You're here to like really keep your own
No
grandmother and like
offense to the AI slop creators out there. All right.
no offense, right? I think there's a time and place, but I think what ends up happening here is that like we attracted a lot of really great people who are sometimes like building for their own family. I mean, one of our founding engineers, his similar as well. Like his aunt was like a career nurse for multiple decades, and he was just so uh kind of in touch with the problem that like it was just kind of a no brainer. But yeah, I think for us, it's like especially right now. I think capital is so abundant, great ideas, distribution. That parts are like all software with so many great technology. And I think the last kind of battle here is like, how do you win the talent war? And for us, it's always about like, how do you shape and like narrate the best stories out there? We're not here to just build a tool. We're here to like keep your own grandmother out of the hospital.
Like the mission statement, the values of the organization are so key to what you're building there.
That's exactly right.
And what have been like the hardest challenges that you've tried to solve?
Yeah. I think as a founder, like, your challenge really kind of evolves like, literally every single month. Just a couple months ago, like
Month one was
um
like, what donut flavor should we pick?
yeah, no, seriously, that's like month zero. Like how do we bribe our customers, right? Like champagnes. We even hired a Craigslist actor to accompany us to a
Well,
conference that we went to.
story too.
Yeah,
You,
yeah.
you
So
you drop these little nuggets. You're like, yeah, one of our clients had an FBI agent. Don't worry about it. Oh, and I also hired a Craigslist actor. Don't worry about it. You're gonna tell me this one.
yeah, yeah, 100%. So it was our first conference back in 2024. And so at that point, we were nobody. We had like, five probably pilot customers. And there was this big enterprise conference that's happening. Both my co-founder are like, shit, like, we don't have the risk to like rizz up these like, 56-year-old like, CEOs of like some of the largest home care agencies in the country. And so we're like, shit, like, how do we get these kind of conversations started? So we're on Craigslist, interviewed about like 20 actresses. We've paid her
Oh,
$2,000. We've paid her $2,000, and she went around the room for 3 days. Opened up
wow.
conversation with practically everyone in the room, and then the conversation kept going. And the funny thing is that like that actually led to one of our largest contract, right? Like the kind of outcome that came out of it is that like a news reporter really loved this story. Not, I think that she didn't know it was an actress, but like she was like, "Wow, these guys are really young. Yeah, the team looks great." No, they didn't know that the team was just like me and my co-founder and one actress. They were like, this team is great, let's write an article. And so that article like spurred one of the biggest partnerships that we had so far.
Wow. So you trained an actress to be your conference AE, basically.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's
That's
exactly right. Two,
incredible. That's an incredible story. Is she still an actress? Sounds like she's like really productive. She might be one of the. Yeah, she should be.
well,
Sounds like she should be in
so
sales.
yeah, so the funny thing is like we try to ask her like the second conference that we went to, and she saw the result from the first conference, and she's like, "All right, guys, we're actually going to charge you $20,000 this time." So we went ahead and actually hired a head of
She's
sales
very smart.
after that.
That's smart.
She's
She's good at
I think
sales. She knows her market value.
she should have taken equity. I think that she would have been a better place if that's the case.
Okay, awesome. Super interesting. Uh, we're going to talk a little bit about you as a founder now. So, Daniel, being a founder is crazy. It's like, in my
Yes.
opinion, it's the hardest thing you can do. Uh, Are there like rituals, habits? Like, what do you do to keep yourself sane as everything else is so chaotic?
Yeah, I think one of the things that like we really try to emphasize at this point is like creating a very strong sense of culture, right? I think when you look at like um, some of the best companies out there, like the early employees are just um, very very tight with each other. I think the early employees are kind of in the trenches. You feel like you're like fighting this like kind of common enemy. For us, like our internal kind of mascot is like Francis Drake. I don't know if you guys play video game, but we really like Sir
Yeah,
Francis Drake because it's like
that's
he's like a
Uncharted.
exactly, right? Uncharted, and he's like, the pirate with the blessing of the queen, and we try to act the same way. And so every new hire that we bring on board, like they get a little pirate chest around, what's the book is engaged. They get a little eye patch, and we take people out for all kinds of excursions, right? So we like to do like things like war rooms. We do like weekly happy hours. Before that, like we kind of tell like, what's the most pirate story that you've done, this past week. And so we try to keep this like, small. We try to like celebrate small wins along the lines, and like just keep people in like this kind of very tight like pirate feeling that you have in early stage startup.
What's the most pirate story that you've done?
The most pirate story, I mean, it's got to be like, when we're first launching this agentic product, once again, we also came with like complete humility. We didn't know what we were building. And so as a result, like we literally went up to like a couple of early customers and say, look, guys, like you guys don't have people to work for you this weekend. We'll do it for free. And they're like, are you guys crazy? Are you sure about it? And we spent the first 3 months literally just like answering every single phone call at like 5 a.m. in the morning. And you get some crazy stories. Like we had like a
Oh wow.
caregiver for like we had a caregiver who locked herself in her own trunk, and we're like getting called out at 3 a.m. in the morning frantically from this one caregiver. I'm like, first of all, like,
Locked
how did you
herself,
do that?
yeah, in her car trunk. How's that happen?
Yeah, exactly. So first of all, we're like, how'd that happen? And second is like, holy shit, let's call 911 right now before like she suffocates or anything. And so like just like that 3 month of like, us being physically on call, answering that every single phone call, I think right now we can confidently say we're like the best, from all the kind of technology company. There's nobody who knows home care better than we do. We've mapped out like literally every possible workflow, every single crazy edge case that you can humanly think
Wow.
about, just from like that, like, 1 month, 3 months journey of like literally being on call and like, picking up phone calls.
Yeah, you mapped out a user flow for if a caregiver gets locked in the trunk. That's
Exactly. Or
like that.
like
That's definitely
you're
an edge case.
you're never gonna get that from like a classic user interview, right? Like you really have to like be in the trenches and do that job.
I really hear a common theme of like you just rolling up your sleeves and talking to people and doing
Yeah.
things to kind of learn the ins and outs. That seems
Yeah.
to be uh, like the MO of how you've really built these products.
Yeah, that's 100% right. And frankly, like when it comes to the team as well, we like to say we're here to establish a context first culture. We didn't hire these smart engineers to like make them the Jira monkeys. We're here to like kind of push them to like as close to the context as possible, and that starts with doing the job yourself.
That's incredible. What would be the most surprising thing for someone to learn about you yourself?
Um, I don't know. Great question. I think both my co-founder and are like absolute history nerds. And so like the one quirk is that like we name every single company like strategy or like campaign after like famous wars, like battle campaigns. And so that's like a little fun quirk that like both he and I do.
That is cool. Okay, do you have a
Yeah.
famous battle, famous war, famous something?
Yeah, I think there's I'm trying to think. There was one. There's like the. I know there's like all kinds of stuff. There's like the Battle of Stalingrad. There's like the Waterloo campaign. Like we have a bunch of these like kind of internal memo. But like the idea here is like every quarter, like we try to put a theme, right? So that like people can really get behind, and it's like kind of this nice story that people can really understand, like really live just during their day to day.
Do you have a favorite product, startup, podcast, restaurant? Just what's your favorite thing right now? A new thing.
Yeah. Um, we're big fans of linear. And right now, like our entire company is run on linear thanks to our head of product. It's phenomenal. Like we use linear for like new employee onboarding. Every employee is a new project on linear.
Oh wow,
And they kind of sign
interesting.
themselves on tickets. We use linear like it's almost like our CRM as well. Each customer as well gets their own project. And so yeah, I mean we're big linear fans. The product is beautiful, and we try to kind of just like max out like every use case to provide.
Okay, that's incredible. Uh, why are you in New York City?
Are we in New York City? I think I think it's kind of just by chance. And I used to work at Ramp, so I was always here. My co-founder as well, he started his previous company here in New York City. And so when it came to like just brainstorming, like we just kind of continue our way here. But yeah, I think what we end up realizing is that like New York City attracts this like really special type of builders who really cares a lot about like kind of application layer in addition to like how it's being built, right? I think in New York City you're seeing a lot of like kind of healthcare companies, fintech companies, people who like truly are like on the more kind of user application side. So I think New York City has been fantastic for us so far.
Daniel, what's your biggest need right now? How can people help you?
Yeah, look, we're hiring across the board right now. So we have a small mighty team of 20 people. Our goal is to double that by the end of this year. So we're hiring across engineering. We're hiring 8 engineers right now. We're hiring on the finance team, and so it's really just kind of anywhere and everyone who's talented. Like we look forward to kind of chatting with them.
So you're looking for a lot of people to join your pirate team.
Yes, absolutely.
Daniel,
Yeah,
that's all I got. Jordan, did I miss anything?
I think that was it. This is great.
Hey,
So many great stories.
this was super interesting. You have amazing stories.
sounds great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right,
Cool.
bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bye.